My new book, Pillars for Life, A Guide to Spiritual Ethics and Practice, is now out and available for you to read and purchase. You can check out our website, willowhealing.org, to find a link, or you can find it on Amazon. We look forward to getting your feedback, and if you love it, please leave a review and share with your friends. Now it's time for the show. Welcome to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We are so excited to have you joining us on this journey where we explore different ways to empower your soul, whether it's healing in your kitchen or all the way up in the corporate world. Come with us as we look into different ways to heal your mind, body, and soul. Hey everyone, it's Catherine from Willow Healing, and today I have with me the lovely Amy Vincze. If I said that wrong, I do apologize. I was practicing. So she is the founder of Soar with Tapping app, and she is a dedicated professional in health and wellness industry for over 20 years. As a certified massage therapist, nutritional therapist, colon hydrotherapist, Reiki Master, and tapping coach, she brings a wealth of expertise to her work. Since earning her oh my goodness, my words aren't working today, everybody. Certification as a tapping coach 16 years ago, Amy has witnessed profound transformations both in her own life and the lives of her clients. She has even used tapping to heal herself from painful chronic medical conditions. As the founder of the Soar with Tapping app, Amy is on a mission to make the life-changing benefits of tapping accessible to people everywhere. She firmly believes that tapping is one of the most powerful and transformative healing tools available today. And welcome to the show, Amy, and I hope my words keep working for me.
Me too. Thank you for having me, Catherine. Happy to be here.
Oh, I don't know what's going on today. I'm just very tongue-tied. So anyone listening, I apologize. But I am
we'll
human.
Just laugh about it the whole time.
That's it. Exactly.
Yeah.
So what pulled you into tapping, and how did it come into your life and then obviously lead to such a profound change? But what started you on that journey of searching for it and finding it?
Well, I think, as you can tell from my bio, I've kind of always been a seeker. I've always tried a lot of different ways to help myself to feel better. But the catalyst that kind of started me on the path with tapping was that I got cancer in my early 30s. I had breast cancer. And during the time when I was going through chemo, I went to a Tony Robbins event, which helped me to get to know a person that was, because I ended up crewing for Tony Robbins events after that because I loved it so much. I felt like I got a lot out of it, and I met another crew member who then introduced me to tapping. And once I started, you could tell there was something really special about tapping, and I got certified right away. I've been a certified tapping coach for a long time, but I've had limited success with it over the years. But I reached kind of a crisis point in my own life and my own journey. It's been about 6 years ago now, where everything was kind of falling apart. You know, my professional career, I wasn't doing tapping full time at the time. My professional career was really struggling. My relationship was struggling. My body was struggling. I was having a really hard time in parenting, everything. And that's when I just started utilizing tapping daily for about half an hour a day. I was tapping when I was on the treadmill. And I started tapping on what I finally figured out was the root cause of my problems, as opposed to the symptoms of my problems, which I thought were my problems, but I didn't really understand that they weren't. I didn't understand that there was something underneath it that was causing procrastination, that was causing feelings of laziness, or, whatever it is I was struggling with at the time. But once I started tapping on those root causes, my life changed so dramatically, and it opened up in ways I couldn't have even imagined. At the time, I was letting go of fears, and I quit my job, and I was doing all kinds of things, and feeling no fear about it, and moving forward in ways that I didn't even know was possible for myself. So that's when I truly discovered the power behind tapping. And at that time, that's when I quit my job. I'm like, I have to do this full time. People need to know that they have this capability at their fingertips. They don't have to struggle anymore. If they knew how to tap and they applied this to their life, they could experience as dramatic of healing as I did. And so then it became my mission and my passion to help people understand that they have this amazing tool available to them all the time.
I love that. I love that you went that whole journey and just kept following and following. And also what you said too about the symptom versus the main cause, because so often we're afraid. There's almost like this fear, right? What happens when I keep searching deeper and deeper and deeper? And, we have this mentality where we've almost been conditioned, especially in Western cultures, to just treat the symptoms, to just put a patch on it, to just, oh, your shoulder's sore, just rest it. Or, oh, you broke your toe, there's nothing there. Just having a look underneath. And it's so powerful when you start to pull the underlying emotions. And I know through my work and obviously through yours, dis-ease in the body is caused by an imbalance of emotions and feelings underneath. And when we realize that nearly everything that happens on the outside is from within, then the magic happens, right?
Yeah. And weirdly, I think as a society, we have been conditioned to not go into that emotional landscape. Men are only allowed like the one category of anger is their emotional base. Otherwise, everything else is perceived as weakness, which it's not allowed in masculinity. And same for women. Like anything overly emotional is called hysterics. And so there's like this negative connotation to any kind of emotional landscape. And if we don't process it, if we don't allow ourselves to feel it, if we don't engage with it, it doesn't go anywhere. It stays in the body and causes more problems. And that's when more and more symptoms develop.
Exactly.
And which could be chronic pain from unexpressed emotions, or it could be things like procrastination or addiction or rage, and it could be anything. Like a irrational response to criticism. Those are all symptoms of unresolved emotional issues.
Yeah, and a lot of it starts sometimes, well, it depends how far back you want to go, but it can start, those patterns can be put in place from the moment that you're born. And even just before then, we're still conscious beings while we're in the womb, and a lot of people forget that too, that whatever we're exposed to, even while we're growing, can have an impact and imprint on our emotions and feelings when we come out, and our belief in ourselves. And it sounds, people are probably like, what? But at the same time, babies can hear from, I think it's 28 weeks, I believe they can hear in the womb, like really clearly. So it's like they're hearing what's happening outside of them. Like that's going to be leaving an imprint as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the big mistakes that people often make also is that there's an assumption that trauma only looks like one thing. It looks like a big, really challenging event, like maybe an assault or a big physical issue with your body, or maybe somebody important to you dies at a very young age. Those are big traumas, and that's the only thing that people really want to categorize as trauma. But there is another side of trauma. It's called little t trauma, and it's far more complex, and it's far more difficult to dislodge. And this is the type of trauma that creates fears and limiting beliefs that affects us for decades. Like we gather decades worth of evidence to support these fears and limiting beliefs. And so as adults, it's a lot harder to dislodge those things. But those little t traumas are things like being ignored, or having an angry parent or sibling in the house where you have to walk on eggshells and you're scared all the time, or something that doesn't necessarily look like trauma. So it's those things that can happen as early as in the womb, like you said, that affects us for decades and is much harder to dislodge. So that's why that's called complex trauma, because it's so intricate
and layered.
And there's a lot of aspects to it.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, dealing with a big trauma is a lot easier to dislodge because it's usually one event and you haven't shaped your whole life around what happened.
Yeah, and it can be like such a simple thing that can happen. It could even be like, thinking from the top of my head, it can be asking for your mum to cut your sandwich one way and she says, no, you do it yourself. And then all of a sudden you have a belief that you have to do everything yourself. You can't ask for help from anybody. It's such a little thing, especially when you're a little person. You don't have the cognitive skills to go, actually, no, that's not about me. That's about them. You just take it on as yourself, right?
Yeah. Well, kids are naturally narcissistic. They think everything happens because of them.
Exactly.
Whether it's good or bad. I just will assume responsibility. It's because of me. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and like you said, it could be something as simple as, somebody in a classroom saying,
yes.
You should know the answer to that question. And all of a sudden, the belief, I'm stupid, takes hold. It takes root, and you start looking for evidence of that everywhere else in your life. And you come up with answers. When you are looking for the color brown, you will see the color brown.
Exactly.
And so that's why those experiences are so important.
Yeah, because our mind then seeks the validation to keep that belief going. And then, it seeks the story thing. And it's only when you start to become problem aware and then solution seeking that you can step out of that loop. But until you get to that point, you need someone external to you as well. And then it can be multiple people. I find the people closest to you, you'll listen to the least.
That's true. That's true.
I think we all have a story where we'll say something to our parents about, hey, maybe you should try this, or hey, maybe you should do this, or our other halves, and maybe you should do this. And then it's only when someone external says the exact same thing that they go and do it. And you're like, I planted the seed.
Yep. Yeah, that's all you can do though, right?
Exactly. So then what inspired you then to shape all this? So I'm assuming you're working with clients and then you're like, hey, I need to create an app. What kind of led to that?
Just the feeling that I wasn't reaching enough people. One-on-one client work is my absolute favorite thing to do, by far. But I also just felt an internal pull, and I think that this is part of my spiritual journey, that I needed to create this avenue for people to find the path to their own healing. And when it wasn't even my idea initially, when the idea was kind of plugged into my thought process, I couldn't let it go, obviously. But I started doing research on what was available out there, and what I saw wasn't addressing the full power of this amazing tool.
Yep.
Like you said, it was putting a Band-Aid over the top of things, which sometimes is necessary. Sometimes we need a Band-Aid just to get throughout the day. I mean, we don't always have the luxury of really leaning into childhood trauma and engaging with it, when we're having a moment of anxiety. However, when we do have the space for that, we also need the resources to be able to address it. And so I saw a hole out in the market, and I thought I need to fill it. People need to have access to something like this. So that's when I started down the path with the app. And while there's almost 200 different tapping scripts on the app today.
Yep.
Somebody going in with anxiety or depression or addiction is going to look at that and go, I don't know where to start with any of this. Like, this is all overwhelming to me. I don't know where to start. So there's also a lot of videos that talk about, because there is a certain order in which you should do things in order for it to be as fast and as effective as it can be. And what I tell everybody is that they should always start like with their top 10 fears. And I'm not talking about, like fear of, I don't know, spiders or something along those lines. I'm talking about the underlying deep fears, like fear of abandonment. What's they're called? Foundational fears is what I call them, like fear of abandonment or rejection, fear of not belonging, fear of not being worthy or deserving of love, fear that there's something wrong with you, fear of extreme financial insecurity, all of these things, and even fear of our bodies. Like if you've had like a significant medical issue, you can be really afraid of your body that it's going to pull the rug out from under you at any moment. So all of those big foundational fears are things that will make it so your life is on quicksand. And they will weave their way through every single aspect of your life, and you will make every single decision based on those fears. So you will decide whether or not to go for a particular job, based on whether or not you feel like you are worthy and deserving of good things coming to you.
Yeah.
Whether or not you feel like you are going to belong in that environment. Whether or not you feel like people are going to judge and criticize you, So we need to take those fears out of the equation so that you can become more of who you really are, right? And that's the best place to start. So there's an order. I got kind of off track, but there's an order for how to work through things on the app and in life in general, in order to make the fastest progress towards what it is you want.
Yeah,
Like I said, we could work all day on the symptoms, but it's a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
So you start at the root, the very, very root, and then you move to the limiting beliefs that have been created as a result of those fears. But with the fears out of the way, the limiting belief that was created from it is far smaller than it would have been, with that fear still underneath it as a foundation. So you take those things out of the way, and then you can see the landscape with a lot clearer lens.
Yeah, I just got this image of like a house with like the foundation underneath, and you just pull that foundation out, and then everything else is just going to go and tip over because because it has no story to sustain it anymore, because you've shifted the underlying drive that was starting the whole thing. It's like, actually, no, the narrative's changed now, and I can change my narrative, and I can bring in this new life that I've wanted, to create for myself without these underlying beliefs and fears kicking in.
Yeah. If that foundation is your identity, but it's based on fears, then it needs to be dismantled. That needs to be kind of just deconstructed so that you can create a foundation that's built on truth, of the truth of who you really are.
Yeah.
And that one is going to be 10 times stronger and as big as you want it to be.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that you said that too, because we're infinite. There's no reason you have to limit yourself. And it's those fears that actually limit you. We were created in an infinite state where we can create and make anything we want. We have just been conditioned and made to believe that that's not the case, and whatever level of our life, and often when we are stuck in a story or stuck in a fear pattern, we will continue to seek things that fill that fear and story pattern because we don't know how to get out of that. And our brain just chooses to go towards what is familiar, because there's a fear of the uncertainty of change, and our brain just kicks in to try and keep us safe. But when you get to know yourself more, and you can use the tapping to override that, that's really powerful in itself, right?
Yes. Yes, and you're absolutely right. We just seek out what is comfortable for us. It's not necessarily what makes us happy, it's what's
Exactly.
familiar.
Yeah.
And we don't even recognize that we're doing that half the time. We don't recognize that we're making this choice for ourselves that keeps us in a disempowering pattern. And it's only when we kind of have the ability to step out of that pattern for just a moment and see, like, ask ourselves the big questions, like, why am I choosing this path? What is it about me or my upbringing or the environment that I grew up in that is making me feel this way and act this way? And then when you start to kind of dismantle that a little bit, then some really big answers uh, make it, the clarity just, it just comes to you so heavily and so starkly that it's just like really empowering. It's really empowering to finally see the truth
Yeah.
and recognize
Yeah. And then
that
you
you're
and
not.
then you kind of go into this cognitive dissonance as well, where you realized that you could have changed it sooner. And then
You know, I think there, when you finally gain that clarity, there's often a bit of grief that comes
exactly.
with how much time you've lost. And if I had only understood this 10 years ago, 20 years ago, however long it is, I could have lived that much more of my life without these struggles. But I keep, even I did that myself. And I keep having to go back to the place that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. I I was meant to go through everything single thing on my journey, and I am exactly where I'm supposed to be in this moment. I
Exactly.
have to accept that. It's not what I would have chosen for my life. Just, you know, because I want everybody to be successful and happy at a young age, and I wasn't that.
Yeah.
But so I have to kind of just accept that it's exactly right for me right now.
Yeah. And it's like, I remember hearing if you knew how to get from A to Z without doing everything in the middle, you probably would just jump from A to Z, but then you wouldn't be who you are now because, it's the lessons, it's the highs and the lows, it's the things that we go through that shape us. And if you didn't go through all those things, Amy, then you wouldn't have been driven so much to share this with the world because you could see what a
Right.
profound effect it had on your life. And if you hadn't gone through all of that, then you probably wouldn't have been as driven, right? Because it would have been like, oh yeah, I changed my life a little bit instead of like, I massively changed my life with this.
I know. I wasn't ready until I was ready. That's
Exactly.
just the truth of it. And I think a lot of people are in the same boat.
Yeah. So we've covered how, if people want to start, so how do they get your app? That would be a good thing.
Yeah, they could go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Either way, just search for Soar with Tapping, SOAR. If they go to my website though, soarwithtapping.com, they let's see, soarwithtapping.com /podcast dash special.
Oh,
They will get access to a code where they can put that into the app and get 50% off of their first annual subscription on the app.
very cool.
So just something, a little gift for your listeners.
Oh, thank you.
Hopefully encourage them to give it a try.
I may be also taking advantage of this gift too.
Yeah, please do. Please do. I'm very, very happy to share with as many people as possible.
Yeah, and I think it's so powerful because, even me personally, like when I was creating my website again, because, as you go through identity shifts, you're probably the same. You keep reinventing yourself. So you have to keep changing everything, right? And it's not reinventing yourself. It's like as you take another layer of your identity off that you've believed that you've been, there's a new you that keeps emerging, and who you want to work with and who you attract keeps changing. But the biggest thing I wanted to do was create community and also create an app. So my app, you just get straight through the website. But that's why I was asking. So, but at the same time, there's just the convenience of having an app on your phone and not having to go look for things, it's just convenience, and it makes it easier for your brain, because our brain wants to seek the least resistant habit. So if your habit is you can just wake up in the morning and click on this app, it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, yeah. And I think one of the things I really love about tapping too is that, like you said, you can do it anywhere. I tend to love tapping while I'm on the treadmill.
Yeah.
I walk for half an hour and I am tapping at the same time. Or I'm lying in bed and I'm tapping either right when I wake up or when I'm going to sleep at night, and it helps me to sleep better. I tap with my daughter right before she goes to bed, and it can't help but it's like makes her so sleepy. She has to close her eyes and sleeps really well after we've done tapping about whatever was hard that day. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. It could just be done anywhere. I'm in my car. I tap in my car when I'm driving down the
In a
road.
meeting, I do the.
I can have one hand on the wheel and I'm tapping. I've got a long list of things that I need to tap on, so I try to do it anytime I can.
I have some clients that have massive anxiety, and I'm like, all right, well, just do this, just tap, just start tapping on that collarbone point, and they're like, oh, that's really discreet. I said, yeah, no one's gonna notice, like if you're in a meeting or if you're at work and you're just tapping like this. And one of my clients who's very, very anxious, like she'll go to the shops, and if she sees someone in front of, for example, she wants to buy avocados. If she sees someone in front of the avocados, she will walk around the whole shop and come back till there's no one in front of the avocados, rather than just, reaching over.
Yeah.
And I said,
so hard.
yeah. And so it's like that big social anxiety. And then, so we talked about just using that small tapping thing, because she's like, just gets overwhelmed with too much. And she's like, that's the best thing I've ever learned. Like it was just so like easy. And she goes, and I went in to get the avocados, and I went up and there was someone there, and it was such a big thing because it was just taking away that anxiety in that moment. And it doesn't have to be, sometimes you get lost in the pattern of things. It doesn't matter, because the intent is there, the passion is there, and what you want to get out and shift. If you're tapping in that meridian point, it's just going to shift something for you anyway.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when you get in that mode, that really anxious mode, what we know is that your body has gone into fight or flight mode for whatever reason. There's something about this environment that feels really unsafe for you, and your body and your brain are trying massively to protect you. So we know that our body is just flooded with cortisol, and just tapping on your energy meridian, doesn't matter which spot, will start reducing cortisol in your body 43% faster than if you did nothing alone. So you don't have to say anything, you don't have to move around the points. It's already de-escalating the amygdala in your brain, that stress center. It's de-escalating it, and it's telling it that it's okay to feel safe and calm, that there really is nothing, no major threat in your environment right now, and your body will start to feel it. You'll start to reduce cortisol, and you'll feel safer and more calm. And it doesn't take more than just a few minutes, like you said, and it can change everything for someone. I mean, just that simple movement can change it so that somebody can walk into a grocery store without fear. That's remarkable.
Yeah.
Everybody should know about that.
Yeah, and it's just such a simple thing. And I remember months ago watching someone sharing that, because she was like a very powerful businesswoman, and every time she'd walk into a business meeting, she'd just start doing it, and she purposely wear a high necklace, so it looked like she was fiddling with the necklace rather than sitting there tapping. And I was like, oh, this is so important. Like I feel like this is something really, because a lot of people are like, conscious as well. Especially if you have social anxiety, you're already conscious of what you perceive everyone is thinking about you. So to do something so discreet as that, where it's not as obvious, it can be such a life-changing move. And it's just something, like you said, so simple, tapping into the energy of the meridian and reducing that cortisol really, really quickly. And a lot of people don't realize how much we actually are triggered every day. Like I heard this thing the other day and it said, how often do you sit down with the intention to eat and just eat, without thinking about, I have to go do this, I have to check my computer, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, because then you're already triggering a cortisol response because you haven't even finished eating and you're already thinking about everything you need to do. So, little things like that. And like you said, when we go into that cortisol response, we start to head to the fight, flight, freeze. And then that's when your body starts to break down immensely as well.
Yeah. That's when we get paralyzed. That's when we run away from a situation because it's outside of our comfort zone. No matter how much we know that moving outside of our comfort zone is in our benefit, it doesn't matter. If our brain is in massive fight or flight mode, there's nothing that's going to make us move forward in that moment.
Exactly.
Nothing.
Exactly.
So we need to calm that part of ourselves, and tapping is a really effective and fast way to do that.
Yeah, 100%. It's such a powerful thing. And as we finish our time together, Amy, I asked my guests on the show if there was something that you could heal or change in the world, what would it be?
I think I would change the conversation around emotions, and especially challenging emotions. I think that they are beneficial to us to experience them, to actually feel them and engage with them. I would not encourage people to, put on a brave face or, get happy when they're nothing but sad. I think that type of positivity is really robbing us of a rich emotional experience. And it's when we allow ourselves to go through those challenging emotions that everything becomes richer. And it's not a flat positivity that we feel, or kind of strong-armed into feeling that. It really permeates every part of our being. And it's when we allow ourselves to feel low, that's when we feel the depth and the breadth of the really high highs also.
Yeah.
So we're meant to have this spectrum of emotions. And I think we've been given a false narrative that there's something really bad or wrong about challenging emotions. And I think it just makes it so we don't have a really rich experience in this life. And I think people, when they go to the app, there's a misunderstanding that they're going to be infused with positivity. And that's not really the way tapping works. Tapping works because it acknowledges and honors all of those challenging emotions that we've been suppressing for so long. And so at first, it's going to feel a little bit worse because you're going to engage with those emotions that you've been pushing away for the longest time. And I've even had somebody call it toxic, and I assure you it is not toxic. It is just acknowledging and honoring what's already there. And when you do that, that's when you can release it.
Yeah.
Release it on a really fundamental, energetic, emotional, physical level. You release it on so many different layers, and you will feel it in every aspect of your life. So I think that's what I just want to encourage people to lean into some hard stuff, because the reward is really great on the other side.
Yeah, and I always say, do you really want to carry this into your next life? Let's just...
Oh my God, I know. That's been a huge motivation for me. I don't want to go through this shit again.
Exactly.
It's too hard.
Exactly. And even, if you're a mom or a dad listening, when you heal something in you, you heal it for them as well. And I find as a parent that is such a motivating and driving factor, because you don't want your kids to go through the same traumas you've been through. You don't want them to feel the same feelings again, and it's so powerful when you can shift it in whatever capacity it is. And if you're listening to this and just curious, just go look, because curiosity and a pull is your soul saying, this is what you're meant to be doing right now, and by honoring that and following that, you're trusting your intuition, And then that is where you actually start to make big changes in your life.
I couldn't agree more. I don't want to do the same issues over again.
Mm-hmm.
Please no.
No,
Please no.
no.
That is a huge motivating factor for me.
I
hope it is for others as well. Just get it done.
I know. It's so funny because, you know, I had my astrology chart done and I was like, oh, you have all these retrogrades. I'm like, what's that mean? And it's funny because it's two perspectives, but the perspective that sits with me is like, oh, it's all the karma you came to clear in this life. And I'm like, yep, I feel that.
I feel that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, okay, Amy, so we know where we can get your app. Where else can people find you if they want to come and connect with you?
They can reach out to me on social media, on Instagram and TikTok and all the social media. I do little short tapping things on all of my social media, so if anybody just wants a little taste, then they can find me there.
Beautiful. And I'll make sure to put all those details in the show notes as well, so everyone knows where to find you, so they can access the app, all those fun things. And thank you so much for your time, Amy. This has been a really fun conversation.
Oh, I totally agree, Catherine. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We have so much love and gratitude that you have taken the time out of your day to empower you on your healing journey. The views shared by the person being interviewed might not necessarily reflect that of the host and should be used at your own discernment. Trust what resonates for you and follow your heart and soul guidance. If you have any underlying medical conditions or mental health issues, please consult with your healthcare provider before pursuing any of the recommendations. Likewise, you can always contact the person being interviewed to find out more information. This can be found in the show notes. Remember to activate, align, heal, empower, and find love in everything that you do.